Hi, welcome back to my channel for part 2 of that was fucking hot. It's part 2 of engine building for this fuck, I got confused. Keep this rolling. Oh yeah, alright, this is part 2, Wednesday. We're gonna start pulling out this engine today. Alright. We just gotta take off the rockers. We gotta take off the rockers, undo the heads, pull the heads off, and then undo the starter. Once we do undo the starter, we'll do the bolts in the back for the transmission, and we should pull this thing out, and on the engine stand it goes. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so what we're doing is we loosen these up, and we're taking out the bolts so that way we can take out the rockers and the push rods. And that's what we're gonna do on this side and the same on the other side. So I'm just gonna time lapse this, taking off all these rockers and push rods.
Yondo Music. Yondo Music.
Alright, now we're gonna be removing the heads. The bolts for the heads are all of these, which are the ones in here, and then there's also these in the bottom. So we unloosen them right now. We're just gonna go ahead and pull those bolts out. Don't use an impact like how I'm gonna be doing it. I'm loosening them up first, and then I'm going lightly with the impact and pulling them out just to speed the process up. But the same thing I do on this side is the exact same thing I'm gonna do on the other side. Like I said, the bolts are up on here. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like 12, and then the rest are in the bottom. And then that's when their heads are not gonna fall because there's a pin that holds it to the block. So when you pull the bolts out, just be careful. I recommend just leaving one. You can leave this one in, take out the rest of the bolts, same as the bottom, remove all of them, just keep one in. That way when you're finally gonna take out the last bolt, you can hold the head, pull that last bolt in, and that way you can have something to grab on, so that way that if you don't have that pin that connects the heads to the block, the heads will just slide down. But in this case, I know this one has a pin, so I'm just gonna remove all of them. All right. right, so we ended up removing the head bolts. If the head bolts are the stock ones and you're gonna do something with the engine, I would recommend just buy new head bolts and put new ones in, because I wouldn't run the same head bolts, just because they won't torque down to the same specs that it did before, and they'll tend to back out, and you do not want to put thread locker on them. Just get new, just put a little bit more money in and just buy new head bolts. It just saves you time from getting back in the engine again, or it backs out. So just get new ones. So right now we undid them, like I said, to hold on by a pin. So right now we should just be able to pull off the head. I usually grab it from the ports and from the exhaust ports, and it should come right out. There you go, like that. Oh my god, this shit's heavy. Alright, that's one of them. Sometimes you can't get them out because they're super stuck on there. You can have an extra person with you, and what they could do is, like with a pry bar or something, they could pry it up, because sometimes the head gaskets do get stuck, mated to each other. So the same thing we're gonna do on this side. There you go. And then these are the pins I'm talking about that hold the engine together. Where is it at? Oh, it's right here. See, there's a pin right here, and then there's a pin back there. And what those pins do is just they hold on to they locate the heads to the block, so they sit in there. The way you could tell that your engine's been machined to a machine shop is sometimes the machine shop, when they surface the block here, they will end up taking out these pins. And sometimes when they take out these pins, it will just be flush. So that's how you could tell sometimes. Or you can also tell in here if they end up having some cross hatches inside in the engine. Well, this one doesn't have too bad of a ridge. Look, this one's pretty good, dude. So yeah, that's how you could tell. And we're gonna replace these valve stems. Israel, over here, camera, come on. Okay. We're gonna replace these valve stems. Probably gonna take it to a machine shop so they could redo it. And I'm gonna see if I could port these heads too, because I could use it like I forgot what to call it, like a drill, and I could port them out with the little machine. But I'll show you guys how to do that. Get out of it. Alright. Alright, so we took off the heads. The coolant is gonna be in there because when we take off the heads, the coolant these are the ports for the coolant, so it just tends to leak in there. If you can see, there is no scratches inside there, like real bad gouges, which is a real good thing. And this engine's never been rebored. Nothing's been done besides just put in a cam. But if you could, like with your fingernails, you could catch this. There's like a little lip here. If you could catch it, what that is, I think that's called like a ring ridge. They sell this tool where you mount this tool in here, and it grabs onto the wall, and when you rotate the tool, it cuts this ridge out. And that way, if you're gonna reuse the same pistons, when you cut this ring out with that tool, which I'll show you in a coming up video, that ring ridge will come off with that tool, and you can smack the piston out without scoring up the engine block and all that stuff. And then you can just reuse the same pistons but different rings. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, because I don't feel any like deep gouges in the block where I could catch my fingernails. So yeah, it's a good block. It's so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pull it out, cut the ridges off of it, rehone it, just like a little backyard engine build. And that way, I'm not too sure if I'm gonna run the same cam, because this cam is pretty big on this car. Its duration is pretty high, and it gives the engine valve float. So I don't really want to run that same cam. So what I'm gonna do is gonna replace it and put a different in there, something a little small, a little smaller lift, because I don't want it to be rowdy. I don't want it to be very loud. It wasn't this car, but I don't want it to be when it's in the truck. So yeah, we're just gonna get ready we're gonna undo the fuel pump right here, which are 2 bolts on the side. The hoses right here, we're gonna disconnect them, and then we're also gonna remove the reason why I'm taking off the fuel pump is because I can't get to the engine mounts, and the engine mount is holding on by 1 bolt, which is over here. You can see there's 1 bolt right here, and there should be another bolt. Once you pull that bolt out, you should you can let loose of the engine with the engine hoist, and you can pull it right out. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do right now.
Yondo Music. Yondo Music.
Alright, so we finished taking off the heads. We didn't record us taking off the transmission bolts, but there was at least maybe like 6 bolts that we had to remove from the transmission to the engine. We also pulled off the starter. We pulled that out, and we did pull off the water pump. So one thing to do is there's usually a case that it's just like a case that covers up the flywheel and the torque converter. It's only hold on, if yours has it, it's only holding on by a couple bolts. You can remove that, and what you do is there's going to be like 3 or 4 bolts holding the torque converter to the flywheel. I recommend you take out those bolts from the torque converter that connects to the flywheel, because it's easier for you to pull out the engine. That way you don't mess with the transmission and the torque converter to come out. You can leave that in there while you just pull out just the engine only. So that's what we did. What you could do is you could go under the car. When you undo the torque converters, you can have someone hold the balancer still, because it will rotate. So hold the balancer still. You could put like a pry bar in between the bolts, and it holds it still while you undo the torque converter bolts. Then when you go on to the next bolt, you could tell the person to let go of the balancer, rotate it by yourself, and then you can undo the rest of the bolts, and you just do that same process. So right now we set it up our 3-ton Harbor Freight engine crane. So it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge. We've done this before, but since it rained a couple of days ago, we're doing this not on pavement, we're doing it on straight dirt. So it might dig, the wheels might dig right into the dirt, but we are gonna probably put it in neutral and slide the engine back. I mean the car back. We're probably gonna just slide it back if we can't move this back. But we've done this before, you know. So that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna time lapse it. So meanwhile, we're just gonna, before we time lapse it, we're just gonna undo the mounts, which are here. We're gonna do these mounts, and same as on what's on the other side, we're just gonna take the bolt off, undo the nut, smack out the bolt, and that should get the engine already loose. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna tie the chain and then take out the engine. And also we're gonna remove the hood. So we're just gonna time lapse this process because it's pretty much simple. And dude, your thing's going off.
Sorry, I'm having.
Look, I'm tired of your stuff going off.
I'm sorry. Don't fire me.
You know how hard this stuff is, bro? You're fired. Don't put your 2 weeks notice. You're gone. I'm sorry.
Accepting jobs.
And I'm just playing around. But yeah, we're just gonna do that. It's gonna be fairly easy, but we're gonna time lapse this whole stuff. And then once we pull it out, we're gonna put it on an engine stand, and from there I'll go on with the next process what we're gonna do. So yeah, all right, let's get to it. Alright, we were able to pull the engine out of the dirt. It was hard to push it, but you know, we got it. So the engine is out. So this is how it looks right now. On the next video, I'll be able to, we'll be putting, right now I'm gonna let it sit on a tire, and then I'm gonna come back maybe tomorrow and put it on an engine stand and go from there. But that'll be on the next video. But for right now, we just wanted to pull it out. Alright, thanks you guys for watching.